So you just bought a new package of bees. The only thing new about those bees are, they're new to you. More than likely they have an old queen, and the bees came from the almonds in California. So they're probably not the healthiest bees, but if you don't have honey bees and it's the only bees you could get, it's possible you could expand your business if you plan on having a business with those bees. I've had honeybees continuously for 7 years, and I have videos on YouTube, and I'm not advertising. I don't do it to make money or to have a lot of subscribers. I've been ripped off by people in the beekeeping business, and I've been ripped off by people with my electrical job. And the conclusion I have is there aren't any honest people in this country. You have to be careful. So you have a package of bees. They probably have an old queen. So hopefully if you can get them started and that queen doesn't die that first summer, if you can get them through winter, if you check my videos, that could help you get them through winter. So then the following year, if you have other bees in your area, you want to breed those bees with other people's honeybees. I breed mine with Michigan Bee Works, one of the largest beekeepers in Michigan. Anyway, back to my experience. I started with Italians, and I did Kirk Webster's no treatment method, and I was fine for 3 years and then having trouble with varroa mites. Then I started having trouble with varroa mites. I almost got wiped out my fourth year. So then I switched to foliage Russian bees, and foliage Russian bees weren't worth the money. Half of them died during shipping. Of 46 queens sent to me, only 20 of them actually made colonies. And for those colonies, half of them died the first winter because they weren't resistant to mites. And the packages that I bought to put the foliage queens in were full of varroa mites. I did 14 packages at a time up against the wall there. And as soon as I let them all out, they all did cleansing flights that afternoon. Half of them ended up on the garage roof dead. I ended up with 2/3 large colonies and 1/3 small colonies. And when I say large colonies, I don't mean they were super large. I just mean they were larger than the other ones. So it was a disaster. I'll never buy packages again. And I had experience breeding my own queens before I got foliage Russian bees. So I know foliage Russian bees because they didn't lay well. They weren't worth the trouble. They weren't mite resistant. They were poor quality. They were inbred. And how they become inbred? Well, if you look at Bee Source's article about line-bred bees, they eventually become inbred because, for instance, if everybody in the United States, if we were to kill everybody that wouldn't have blonde hair and blue eyes, eventually we'd all be inbred. That's what they're doing with honeybees. They're killing the colonies of queens that don't produce mite-resistant bees. So you're getting strictly mite-resistant, and I don't agree that they were mite-resistant. So you're minimizing the diversity in those queens, and then you end up getting inbred. That's why you want to breed with as many colonies as possible. Other people's colonies, you don't want to breed with your own. And then the Formic Pro formic acid I used in 2018, and I was skeptical, and I checked several months after I used it, and I couldn't find a varroa mite. So I used it again last year, 2019. I wasn't skeptical anymore, and I should have been, because a month after I was done with treatment, my bees were dying during the month of October, and I switched to acetic acid in November. By then, the damage had been done. I lost a lot of my winter bees, probably half of them. So I went into winter small colonies. I had to work really hard. My wife's got breast cancer, and that's the other issue. Last May, I had a crop farmer south of me, 150 yards south of me, planting corn, spraying at the time. Within 2 hours, I had a row of bees here. I noticed those were dying, and then those over there were dying, and those were dying. I called the state of Michigan. They came out the next day, took samples. A month later, told me my bees tested positive for neonicotinoids. And then a month after that, they told me the farmer did nothing wrong, which is complete bullshit. Why do I have the farmer's chemicals on my property? That's not right. Our politicians get money under the table from these corporations. And us regular people don't have any rights anymore. It's not a free country. The rich companies own our politicians. For me to have chemicals on my property that I didn't spray, it should be criminal. And my wife has lived here for 30 years, and she's been battling breast cancer for the last several months, and she just had a double mastectomy 2 days ago, and I blame the crop farmers for my wife's health problems. If the government ever does collapse, I'm going to take out crop farmers. They're first on my list because they've been poisoning me and my wife. They're killing us, basically. They're killing your honeybees. They're killing you. I've noticed honeybees in the last week or so because there's been a farmer out there, the same farmer, planting again a couple of weeks ago, spraying at the time he planted. I noticed bees coming out of the hives sick. Not as many as last year, probably about 10% of my colonies. So if you have a package of bees, don't put them anywhere near a farmer's field because you're going to lose them. And if you have several packages, hopefully you can get some through winter and then you can start over the following year. But don't buy any more packages. Breed your own queens. You'll find those are better quality. And use acetic acid. That's what I started using in November. It kills the varroa mites, but you got to do it several times, like several weeks in a row, because it does not kill the varroa mites in the brood. So, and then if possible, make your own frames and hives. I haven't showed you any bees yet. Well, I gave my colonies another deep because it was going to be cold for a week, and I have some. The queen had gone up instead of gone down, and she'd been laying up in the medium, and I wanted her to go down, so I gave some colonies that seemed to be large enough another deep. But then if it warms up and I see they're not down in that bottom deep, I'm probably going to take it away. But I'm trying to get the queen and the colony to use the deeps instead of the mediums. It's all a game about giving what they need or taking away what they don't need. Because if the wax moths move in these older frames, they could make a mess out of a hive in just a matter of a couple weeks. Okay? Thank you.